what does a world look like after a hard break? What is the size and scope of the trading relationship, if there is even one? Is this kind of decoupling, do you think this is feasible, and at what cost?
Well, I think the way to think of it is much closer to the relationship that we had with the Soviet Union. And, I think...
Which was virtually zero trade, right?
Which was, at least until the 70s, virtually zero trade.
Yeah.
And it's important to keep in mind that everyone took for granted that that was the right choice, right? Like, not even Milton Friedman and Friedrich Hayek were out there saying, like, well, free trade is good, so we should have free trade with the Soviet Union. It was understood that it was obviously a nonsensical non-starter to think that you were going to have an integrated market with a authoritarian non-market adversary. The only reason, let's keep in mind, that we moved toward integration with China in the first place was because we had unbounded confidence that once we started to integrate, they would democratize and liberalize. I think it's a very interesting hypothetical to go back and ask, if you could tell the people in 1998, 1999 who were promoting integration with China, here's what China's going to look like in 2025, would they still say, that's great, let's go for it? Some of them might, but they sure as hell would have had to come up with a different rationale than the one they were using. And so I do think it's important to recognize that there is just no, I believe, example in world history of actually successfully integrating two economies that have such different, two markets that have such different economic and political systems. And I think, the long-term costs to the US if we don't do something about it are dramatically higher. The quintessential example I put to people is just, the auto industry. I mean, China's goal is to essentially produce so many cars that it is in a position to wipe out the US auto industry. And there are still economists out there today, some of them teaching at Harvard, who would say, well, that's an interesting question if that's okay or not. I'm just like, that's not an interesting question at all. That is a self-evidently absurd outcome.
Yeah.
And so it seems to me that with that on the economic side, and then on the political side, the very simple problem that if you have a capitalist system in which firms are supposed to do whatever maximizes their profit, and what maximizes their profit is kowtowing to the CCP, that is what they will do. And they have shown that they will do that. And that's just not really compatible with our political system, let alone our economic system.